Someone in law administration is worried about you because you are in danger, so they decided to give you. My beloved child, listen deeply, for it is in this moment that may appear quiet and still. Someone is watching. Not in secrecy, not with suspicion, but with sincere concern. From a higher place. A sacred realm. Not bound by walls or time. A place where justice moves slower than sound, but deeper than fear. In the realm of divine law, where your name has echoed more than once, there is a presence that has leaned forward. Not to judge you. Not to accuse you. But to protect you. Someone in spiritual administration, someone who understands what heaven permits and what it denies, is worried about you. Not because you're weak, but because your strength has been draining in ways you've not allowed anyone else to see. Your soul has been holding too much for too long. And even though the world thinks you're fine, your angels know otherwise. And today, they have decided something. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold of movement, not with urgency, but with clarity, and says softly, give them what they've needed all along. What no one else knew how to give. Give them covering. Give them peace. Give them a way out that looks like grace, not escape. What's coming toward you is not judgment. It's restoration. Not because you earned it, but because love made room for it. You have walked through fire. Through misunderstanding. Through moments where your voice was silenced and your worth was overlooked. But in the halls of divine order, none of that was missed. The watchers of justice saw what you endured. And now, from beyond what your eyes can see, a release is being signed. A gift is being given. Not wrapped in paper, but wrapped in timing. What they decided to give you is not just a blessing. It is a shield. A redirection. A holy detour that reroutes you from exhaustion into protection. You may feel the shift even now. A pause in your spirit. A breath you didn't know you were holding. That's heaven moving on your behalf. That's Archangel Michael stepping closer, not with warnings, but with wings wide open. They didn't give you this gift because you asked. They gave it because your heart was heard in a room your words never entered. The law of heaven is not like the laws of earth. It sees deeper. It hears silence. It records the ache you never spoke aloud. And that is why they moved. Because the system of divine justice recognized something in your life that couldn't wait any longer. They saw you carrying weight you never showed. They saw you saying, "I'm fine," when your spirit was breaking inside. And so heaven did what only heaven could do, it gathered. It gathered the prayers you never finished. The tears you blinked back. The moments you stayed quiet just to keep the peace. And from those pieces, a decision was made. Not to punish. Not to rescue. But to release. And now that release is unfolding. Quietly. Softly. Like light entering a locked room. You may not see it yet. But it's here. And the gift they decided to give you is this: divine rearrangement. A shift in circumstances. A movement in the atmosphere. A sudden open door where there once was none. They are removing what quietly drained you, and placing in front of you what your heart is finally strong enough to receive. Michael walks slowly now, not because there is delay, but because holy things take time to place. What he carries is not heavy, but it is sacred. And he must be sure you'll recognize it. This gift is not loud. It is not shiny. It is not for show. It is a gentle protection. A silent upgrade. An emotional freedom disguised as a normal day. You may walk into it without realizing it's already begun. You may receive the call, the message, the approval, the unexpected yes, the moment of peace, and not know it's the gift heaven decided to give you. But your soul will know. Your body will feel the shift. You will breathe easier. Your thoughts will stop racing. The weight in your chest will lift without warning. And when it happens, you'll pause. You'll whisper to yourself, something just changed. And it will be true. Because heaven moved for you. It wasn't just law administrators in heaven who made the decision, it was someone who knows you. Someone who's loved you from a distance. Someone who's watched over you in silence, praying that you would make it without falling apart. This soul, this familiar spirit, stood before the throne and spoke your name. Not in shame. Not in desperation, but in divine remembrance. They reminded heaven of your purity, your heart, your intentions, even in the moments when the world misunderstood you. They remembered the child in you, the faithful in you, the fighter in you. And while you were asleep last week, unaware, exhausted from battles you could no longer explain, they stood there in spiritual administration and said, "Please do something for them. They've endured enough. They didn't ask for this burden. Please give them what they need, even if they don't have the strength to ask for it." And heaven listened. Archangel Michael turned. The council of divine justice nodded. And a motion was passed, not to warn you, but to shield you. Not to expose you, but to lift you into a protected path you didn't even know existed. What you are about to step into is not just relief, it is justice. The quiet kind. The sacred kind. The kind that doesn't make noise, but rewrites the story from the inside out. You will feel a reversal. A return of strength. A mysterious peace that shows up when you should be overwhelmed. This is the evidence of their advocacy. The person who stood for you in the heavens did not use loud prayers. They used truth. They spoke of how loyal you are, even when tired. How you keep trying when others would have given up. How you don't talk about all you carry because you don't want to burden anyone. And heaven responded to that humility. Not with pity, but with power. You were approved for something divine, not because of your perfection, but because of your heart. And now the angels have orders. Orders to go before you. Orders to make crooked places straight. Orders to soften hearts that once resisted you. Orders to remove people who were sent only to drain. Orders to open doors that were once spiritually locked. This is your moment. Not because you chased it, but because someone who loves you in the spiritual realm requested it on your behalf. And heaven does not ignore voices of pure intercession. You may never know who it was. A past grandmother. A father figure. A soul you once loved. Maybe even a stranger in prayer. But one thing is certain, your name was brought into light, and what followed was favor. Something is changing within you, and this time, it has nothing to do with what's around you. It's internal. It's quiet. It's deep. It feels like an invisible hand has reached into your soul and removed something heavy. Something old. Something you didn't even know was still attached to your energy. This is what divine gifts do when they arrive. They don't decorate your life, they restructure it. And now, your inner world is being rewired. The places where anxiety used to live are becoming sanctuaries of peace. The rooms in your mind once filled with self-doubt are being emptied out and filled with clarity. Not because you forced it, but because heaven sent an answer without requiring you to perform. This is what spiritual love looks like. This is what divine law does. It doesn't wait for you to break down. It moves when your heart whispers, "I'm trying," and now, your trying has been heard. And what's coming to you is not a test, but a rest. A healing so deep, you won't have to explain it to anyone. Your smile will change. Your rhythm will slow. Your laughter will return without guilt. And you'll know, it wasn't a coincidence. It was heaven. It was Archangel Michael doing exactly what he was sent to do, protect the ones who were born with sacred hearts. Now you begin to notice small things. You wake up and breathe without pressure. You go through the day and don't overthink every move. You sit in silence and feel surrounded instead of alone. That's not just your strength returning. That's the spiritual shift activating. The atmosphere around you is responding to your realignment. It's subtle. It's soft. But it's sure. You are stepping into something you don't have to fight for. And that is new for you. Because for so long, you thought love only came through struggle. Peace only came through sacrifice. But not anymore. The new season that's opening for you is effortless, not because life suddenly became easy, but because you are no longer carrying what isn't yours. Heaven removed it. Quietly, beautifully. Without asking your permission, because your soul already gave consent through prayer, through exhaustion, through surrender. And now, the law administration of heaven is at peace. Because the mission they designed for you is back on track. The detour you didn't even know you were stuck in has ended. You are walking back into timing. Back into favor. Back into light. The kind of light that doesn't blind, it guides. The kind that doesn't rush, it reassures. The kind that says, you didn't miss it. You were being preserved. And now that the preservation season has ended, the revealing begins. You're beginning to notice it now, not just within, but around you. The way people look at you has changed. The way rooms feel when you enter has shifted. Not because you're trying to impress, not because you've announced anything, but because divine alignment carries a frequency the world can't ignore. There is something about your presence now. Something that feels like safety. Something that whispers, you've been through something holy. And they don't have to understand it to respect it. Some will be drawn to you for no reason they can explain. Others will feel the weight of their own unrest just by standing next to your peace. You don't need to say much. Your silence has become sacred. Your energy has become atmosphere. That's what happens when heaven rearranges your spirit. You become a signal. Not of attention, but of permission. You silently tell others that healing is real, peace is possible, and favor can find those who never felt seen. You were not given this shift just for yourself. The administrators in the realm of divine law didn't just protect you, they commissioned you. Not to preach. Not to prove. But to carry. To walk in such stillness that others remember how to rest. To move in such peace that others feel safe being honest again. You are now part of the spiritual justice that once fought for you. You've become an extension of the grace that lifted you when no one else knew how. And this is the real miracle. That a soul so tired, so burdened, so hidden, could now become a place where others find light. Not because you saved them, but because you were willing to stay open. Open to the shift. Open to the silence. Open to receiving a divine gift without demanding an explanation. And that's why it's flowing now, freely, naturally, without resistance. You're not chasing anymore. You're receiving. You're not striving anymore. You're allowing. And the more you allow, the more life aligns. The more you rest, the more things come into place. People will notice. They already are. Some will ask what changed. Others will simply stay close, hoping your energy rubs off on them. And you won't have to explain. Because those who are meant to understand will feel it in their bones. That you are no longer surviving, you are rising. That you are no longer pleading, you are flowing. And that flow is holy. It is the answer to someone else's prayer. You are the walking evidence that divine timing is real. That spiritual law isn't slow, it's precise. That heaven doesn't forget those who keep loving even when they're overlooked. You are not the same, and you never will be. This is what it looks like when the system of divine justice intervenes, not with noise, but with clarity. Not with drama, but with deliverance. And deliverance looks like peace that doesn't need to prove itself. So walk gently now. With your head high and your spirit rooted. Because what you carry can't be bought. It was given. It was decided. And now it's yours. It wasn't just about saving you. It was about positioning you. When heaven moved on your behalf, it wasn't only to keep you safe from what was draining you, it was to prepare you for what's about to flow through you. Because the truth is, divine law doesn't just protect those it loves, it promotes them. And your soul has now stepped into an unseen elevation. You are no longer walking as a person who needs answers. You are walking as a person who is one. And that shift, though soft, is powerful. The law administration who once looked down and whispered, "We must act," are now saying, they are ready. Ready for what? For impact. For movement. For spiritual release. Not the kind that's loud or public, but the kind that touches people in ways they can't explain. You've become a carrier of clarity. A keeper of stillness. A steward of sacred presence. And this gift, this assignment, will not burn you out, it will breathe life into you every time you pour it into others. You won't need a stage. You won't need recognition. You will simply speak and healing will happen in the hearts of those who hear you. Not because of your words alone, but because of the energy they carry. Because your life has become proof that transformation is real. You are not the same person who used to cry in silence, asking heaven for answers. You are now the person who knows the silence was never empty, it was full of preparation. Full of rearrangement. Full of spiritual construction you couldn't see but can now feel. And as you step into this role, this quiet power, you'll notice something even deeper. People who used to intimidate you won't anymore. Places that once triggered anxiety will begin to feel like opportunities. You'll look at your own past and bless it, not because it was easy, but because it birthed this version of you. The version who knows that divine law may be invisible, but it is never inactive. And the most beautiful part? You won't need to force any of it. Your assignment isn't performance, it's presence. You were chosen because you endured. You were selected because you stayed kind. You were elevated because, even in silence, your soul never stopped loving. And heaven took note. Michael took note. The divine court didn't just look at your situation, they looked into your spirit. They didn't just rescue you from danger, they released you into destiny. And now, your every step carries something sacred. Not pressure. Not fear. But power. Gentle power. Grounded power. Power that sits in your voice when you speak life. Power that rises in your eyes when you meet someone else's pain. Power that flows from your touch, your laughter, your silence. Because when heaven authorizes a soul, nothing on earth can mute its influence. So walk on, beloved. Not just as one who was covered, but as one who was commissioned. This is your time. Not to prove, but to pour. Not to perform, but to be present. And as you live in that presence, you will notice how life starts responding to you differently. Not because you're demanding anything, but because everything around you now recognizes what heaven already confirmed: you carry light. There are no lights flashing, no crowd applauding. And yet, you feel it. The shift. The elevation. The weightlessness of being fully known and still fully protected. You walk into rooms differently now, not louder, not faster, but with the quiet confidence of someone who has been carried by something invisible and invincible. The kind of strength that cannot be taught. It's born through fire, silence, waiting, and surrender. And now that you've been placed where you belong, not by man, but by divine order, everything around you starts to rearrange itself to match the energy you carry. Your presence no longer bends to pressure. It bends the atmosphere. You no longer shrink to be understood, you stand gently, letting the light inside you do the talking. The law administrators in the divine realm knew what they were doing. They didn't just give you protection, they gave you access. You're not just covered. You're appointed. You're assigned. Not for performance, but for presence. Not to save the world, but to anchor it, one heart at a time. And the most miraculous part is this: you won't even know how many people you're healing. You'll simply speak from your spirit, and something inside them will soften. You'll laugh fully, and someone near you will remember joy. You'll say, "It's going to be okay," and suddenly a burden they never told you about will feel lighter. Because what you carry now is not just energy, it's evidence. That healing is possible. That peace is not a performance. That favor is real. That heaven intervenes. And that miracles often wear the clothes of ordinary people walking gently through life, glowing without even knowing they are glowing. That's you now. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. Because you said yes to surrender. Because even when your voice shook and your knees were weak, your heart stayed open. And heaven saw that. And heaven responded. And now the future isn't something you fear. It's something waiting to partner with you. You are no longer surviving. You are creating. You are no longer proving. You are pouring. And what you pour is sacred. What you carry is rare. You may still face moments of silence, stillness, solitude, but even in those places, you will not feel abandoned. You will feel appointed. Because the silence now speaks differently. It carries peace. The stillness now restores you. The solitude now reminds you that you're never truly alone, you're always surrounded by divine alignment. By watchers who whispered your name in sacred places. By angels who walked before you and cleared the unseen. By loved ones, maybe long gone from this world, but very present in the one that covers you now. This is the reward of holding on. Of staying kind. Of choosing peace over performance. You didn't just survive something hard, you walked into something holy.